Hi everyone, Michael here. So just doing a video on women's boxing. Personally, I actually like women's boxing. I think women's boxing is decent, but women's boxing has the same problem as men's boxing, where for me on a personal level, I do not always see the fights in women's boxing that I want to see. But I think there are a lot of decent female fighters out there. The competition level is not the same as the men's, without question. But you know, hopefully, you never know, women's boxing may or may not eventually get there. I believe it will. I think Eddie Hearn has done a great job. You know, he has done a great job with women's boxing. I mean, you got to give him. I'm a very objective person. You know, I'm very honest about people. You know, whether I like, you know, it's not about what I think about someone on a personal level, but you have to give credit to a person for the work they achieve. I think Eddie's done more for women's boxing than any promoter there's ever been. Now, has Eddie Hearn done a perfect job? Of course not. Could Eddie Hearn have done a lot more? Of course he could. But I give him credit. He's done more for women's boxing than any promoter in the history of boxing. If you think I'm wrong, give me an example. But listen, he's done a lot for women's boxing, so I acknowledge him for that. I have seen some really decent women's fights. I think some of my favourite fights, I think Jessica McCaskill is very for me, she's an exciting fighter to watch. I liked watching her fight against Cecilia Braekhus, and for me, I like the Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon fights. Even to me, I think Persoon won the first fight, and she probably won the second fight, which I know Katie Taylor doesn't like to hear that, but I'll say it to her face. I mean, I'm not scared of her. You never know, I might spar her. I've sparred women before. Every woman I've ever sparred was absolutely easy. I had to go easy on them. The only time I've ever had problems sparring a woman, I sparred someone called Sandy Ryan, like 2014. So I thought, you know, she's a woman, I'm going to be stronger than her. So I sparred her. My friend Clifton Mitchell trained her at the time. So Clifton Mitchell was actually a boxing promoter, and I used to go to some of these boxing dinners. I met Mike Tyson and some of these celebrity dinner speakers. So I knew Clifton quite well. So I said to Clifton, let me come to your gym and spar your female fighter. I want to see how good she is. And yeah, Clifton was saying she can beat you up. I said, nah, I don't think she can beat you. She's a woman. So I got in there, and like, what happened? Yeah, she beat me up. I'm a very honest guy. I don't lie about things. But in hindsight, obviously it happened in 2014. But in hindsight, I mean, you know, I guess I underestimated her. You know, on the day that I sparred her, I was 170 pounds. I was fat. I was slow. So you know, but yeah, she beat me up. Like, I underestimated her, but yeah, she could hit. The reason I'm telling this personal story, like, I don't lie about it. I just tell the truth. I don't care. There's a big gap. There's a big difference between women that don't box and women that do box. So women that don't really box, you know, they're not really. What I'm saying is women that box, like especially some of these world-class fighters, your Katie Taylors, your Amanda Serranos, McCaskill, Nicola Adams, and these sort of women, they can fight. You know, so I don't mind watching it. Obviously, there's a huge difference between men and women's boxing, but to me, they're two separate sports. So, but yeah, I don't mind watching women's boxing. I like it. What fights do I particularly want to see? You got McCaskill versus Braekhus happening next month. Happens in March. That's a fight I want to see. So I think the winner of that fight can fight the winner of. As Katie Taylor's next fight hasn't been announced yet. So, well, yeah, look, the winner of McCaskill versus Braekhus can fight Katie Taylor. That will be a massive fight. You got Amanda Serrano. What other female fighters? You got Chantel Cameron. You got Terry Harper. You got Michaela Mayer. You got Tasha Jonas. You have a lot of decent female fighters out there. For me, on a personal level, I think McCaskill is my favourite female fighter, because when she fought Braekhus, I was so sure that McCaskill was going to lose this fight. I was so sure. I was telling people on social media. And for McCaskill, with so few fights, to beat someone like Braekhus, who was without question, who was the #1 pound for pound at the time, that was very impressive. I was very impressed by McCaskill winning that fight. You know, I think McCaskill's a very good inside fighter. She's a very tough fighter. She brings, you know, she brings the action. She comes to fight, and you know, she puts a lot of pressure on you. And obviously, it gave Breakus a very difficult night, and she beat Breakus. I think McCaskill can win the rematch, and to be honest, right now McCaskill is my favourite female fighter, because as I said, to go in there and beat Breakus, who's had so much more experience. And before that, McCaskill fought Katie Taylor in 2017. She gave Katie Taylor a lot of problems as well. Now Katie Taylor beat her on the night, you know, but obviously Katie Taylor's had a lot more experience. So, but I mean, to fight people and since then McCaskill's gotten a lot better. So let's see if she can beat Breakus again, which I believe she can. And after that, I would love to see her fight Katie Taylor, get the Katie Taylor rematch. And now that McCaskill's more experienced, you know, she's fought Farias, and you know, she's beaten Farias, and you know, she should have a far better chance of beating Katie Taylor this time. So yeah, these are some good fights. What other female fights do I want to see? Terry Harper versus Michaela Mayer. I would love to see Michaela Mayer get a chance to fight Terry Harper. I think Michaela Mayer will beat Terry Harper. You got Tasha Jonas as well, so I don't know what's going on with her. We'll see what fight she gets. What other female fighters? I mentioned Chantel Cameron. But I mean, there are plenty of decent female fighters out there. You got Amanda Serrano, she's fighting again soon. Nicola Adams is retired, so that's that. I believe Nicola Adams had some eye issues. I think two of the biggest women in female boxing, well, physically, you have Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields. So I would love to see Savannah Marshall fight Clarissa Shields. I think Savannah beats her. But obviously we need to see the fight happen. You know, someone needs to announce that fight. Someone needs to put the money up, get them two on a bill. If I had the money, I would do it. But, you know, I'm always broke as a joke, so, you know, I can't pay them. But I would love to see, yeah, Savannah Marshall. That would be a really good fight to watch. And hopefully some of these promoters start putting more effort into women's boxing. Start offering them more fights, more opportunities. I personally would love to see that. Feel free to leave any comments, tell me what you think, and thanks for watching everyone. Have a great week. Take care.